Doctors, don't you just love holiday dances?
Alexis, you're stepping on my toes again.
Sorry.
Well, you should have picked Dr. Who's Thompson. She's a much better dancer.
Of course. I work hard to be good at everything.
You know, I never went to dance lessons, never went to med school. This is a bust. But you know we could all take a lesson from the woman you're about to meet. She's an inspiration to us all as we head into the new year.
Ouch!
Oh, sorry.
Toes again. If you'd gone to med school, you'd know where the toes are.
Yeah.
I was really scared, but I had a very strong husband who said God didn't give us anything we couldn't handle.
Just days after her newborn was diagnosed with Down syndrome, she then finds out her baby girl needs heart surgery. Coming up today on All Things Heart, the surgery to correct a very common heart problem in babies with Down syndrome. And a family's journey to ensure that their daughter now leads a happy and healthy life.
From the University of Kansas Health System.
I am amazed. The team here is great.
I came on a Tuesday, and then by Saturday, I had a heart in me.
I have never seen a group of people work together so good as this team of heart specialists. I mean, it's just unreal.
Stand by to set up show.
And the Dolph C. Simons Jr. Family Broadcast Studio.
Roll it.
Always makes you feel like you're the most important patient on the planet.
I felt heard, and that was really big.
This is All Things Heart.
Good morning. It's Thursday, October 20th. I'm Alexis Del Cid, and welcome back to All Things Heart. Every Thursday at 10 a.m., we give you direct access to our doctors to ask your heart-related questions. And here's what we're talking about today. We look at the quite common heart conditions that are associated with Down syndrome and the surgeries to correct them. Plus, our health professionals have so many talents inside and outside of the hospital. We go behind the mask to explain this instrument. And who's holding that instrument? It's our nurse practitioner. How she started playing this, coming up later on in the program. We love your heart questions. They are, simply put, the heartbeat of our show. So please send them to us on YouTube, Facebook, and on the All Things Heart email. You can find the links right here on your screen. Newborn babies typically have a 1% chance of having a heart defect at birth. But the Global Down Syndrome Foundation says for babies with Down syndrome, the risk is much higher. The National Down Syndrome Society says about half of all babies with Down syndrome have a heart condition. Some will show symptoms at birth, some may be diagnosed in utero, some may not have any obvious symptoms. That's why the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that every baby born with Down syndrome be evaluated by a pediatric cardiologist within 1 month of birth. That was the start of a stressful journey for Lucy Wagner's family.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Everyone has their happy place.
So strong in the balance. Good job, high five. 5, 6, 7.
And for Lucy Wagner,
big smile.
It's the dance floor.
It feels amazing, and I look great doing it.
And why be modest when you're this awesome?
Jump. 1.
It means the world to me. I want it as my career.
When we meet up with Lucy at the Viva Social Dance Studio in Shawnee, she and her instructor, Jessie, are rehearsing for an upcoming showcase performance.
Nice job. Woo.
Okay, here's that one.
When the 25-year-old isn't dancing,
hi, need some help?
You can find her working at the D&G Cafe inside the University of Kansas Health System.
I love it. There we go. A lot of chocolate.
And before this, she worked at the Golden Scoop ice cream shop.
So Lucy, you can put your Lucy's in there.
Where there's even a flavor named after her called Lucy's 41. It's a life packed with joy, and it's also something that was a little tough for her mom Annette to envision in those first months after Lucy was born.
Pretty good.
All right. I gave birth, and we didn't know she had Down syndrome, so it was a surprise. And By the time I left the hospital, yes, they told me that she would need heart surgery.
I had holes in my heart, like 3 of them. I was 4 months when I had my open heart surgery.
It's pretty common surgery. A lot of children with Down syndrome have heart issues.
But knowing something is common and having to live and navigate through it are 2 entirely different things.
2, switch steps.
Obviously, this story has a happy ending, but sweet, vivacious Lucy and her parents still had to go through it all to get here.
Nice. All right.
We are so thrilled to have Lucy Wagner here to talk with us this morning. Lucy, we're so happy to have you. Thank you to the D&G Cafe at the health system for letting Lucy take a break from work to join us. We also have her nurse practitioner, Dr. Moya Peterson, in the studio with us. Dr. Peterson, you are the director of the Adults with Down Syndrome Clinic here at the health system, the only clinic in the United States run by a nurse practitioner. You are incredibly talented. You're very active in the National Down Syndrome Medical Interest Group, and you help set up healthcare guidelines for adults with Down syndrome. So we're thrilled to have you here. And last but not least, we have Lucy's mom, Annette, who is joining us virtually. Thank you for making time, Annette, to be here. Before we get started, though, Lucy, I have to know, when's the next time you're going dancing?
Okay, so when I go dancing again, it will be next week. Because I do ballet on Tuesdays and I do ballroom on Thursdays.
How long have you been dancing?
I have been dancing for about maybe 15 years, 16.
So since you were just a little kid.
Yeah.
You're only 25. I was going to ask you about October being Down Syndrome Awareness Month, which it is, but you had this fact that you told me that I did not know. The World Global Down Syndrome Awareness Day is March 21st.
Yes.
And you explained why that date was chosen. You want to share it with our viewers?
Okay, so 321 is a copy of the third chromosome of the chromosome 21.
Okay.
And they did the third month, which is March, and then the 21st of March. So 321 is World Down Syndrome Day.
You learn something new every day. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I want to ask Annette. Annette, being a mom is already filled with emotions that are often stressful, no matter what situation you're in. So walk us through those first few months when you also learned that your baby was going to need heart surgery.
It was scary. I was a first-time mom and an older mom, and of course, having the diagnosis of Down syndrome was, I didn't know she was going to have Down syndrome. And then to have, heart issues, when they sent me home, they just said, if she goes into cardiac arrest, bring her in. And I'm like going, cardiac arrest? How do I know that? And they said her fingers will turn blue, or toes. And so it was scary, but we were very healthy in our household. Nobody could touch her without washing their hands. And then I guess she didn't gain very much weight. So at 4 months, they decided that it was time to get her little heart fixed.
And fixed it was.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you're here. This is such a good, like we said, it's a happy ending, but this family had to go through it to get to the happy ending. Dr. Peterson, you treat hundreds of patients in your clinic. Why is Down syndrome often related with a heart problem?
We don't know. We think it has something to do with that third copy of the 21st chromosome that makes up Down syndrome, but we're just not really sure why our kids are so much more at risk to develop those heart problems.
And can you tell us about Lucy's heart? What was going on inside her?
Well, she had one of the most common defects, which is called kind of the AV canal. And what that is, it's a hole that connects all 4 chambers. And so that's problematic. Then she also had, I think, an atrial septal defect, which is a hole at the top that connects the 2 top chambers. And I think those were mostly the heart defects that she had. So basically, she was mixing the venous blood with the arterial blood, and her lungs weren't getting enough oxygen, and her body wasn't getting enough oxygen, and so it has to be repaired or they can't grow.
And so does it always require surgery, or does some...
That particular defect usually always requires surgery, yeah.
Lucy, what's it like to sit here and hear everybody talking about your heart and how stressful it was when you were a baby? Because you probably don't remember.
I don't remember because I was most likely knocked out because I don't remember it.
Right.
Because I was only 4 months old when it happened.
Is it weird to see pictures of yourself when you were a baby, or are you
It
used
makes
to
me
seeing
cry.
them? It does. Well, it makes people cry. They're so happy knowing that you're okay now. You're clearly loving life. You are enjoying so many things. You're dancing, you're working here, between your career here at the health system, and you're dancing all the time. How important is it to you to stay active?
It's really important to stay active for me because my heart really likes it when I keep moving.
And I could tell the joy that you feel when you were dancing with your instructor, Jessie. I mean, you just light up the room. Would that be your advice to anyone who's watching, to stay active?
Yes.
Also, it's really important for Lucy to maintain her weight, and because it puts additional stress on her heart, and so all this dancing just keeps her weight intact, and that's a really hard thing to do. She's done a wonderful job.
Oh, absolutely. That's it's such a great exercise and great passion to have. And as Dr. Peterson, you were saying, we know exercise is so important. So are there other things that your clinic, the Adults with Down Syndrome Clinic, connect patients with? Do you help guide families towards activities and different resources so they can thrive in their everyday life?
We try. There's several research studies done through a department and Lifespan Institute over at Lawrence that does exercise on Zoom, and they give them Fitbits, and so I try to get my guys enrolled in that. Down Syndrome Innovations here in town has a lot of programs, but you know, mostly my folks do a great job, like Lucy and her family do a great job finding those resources out in the community that'll keep their kids involved, and a lot of the community centers have exercise programs that the kids can get involved in. So mostly it's the parents come to me and tell me what they're already doing.
And I want to ask Annette, to piggyback on what Dr. Peterson you're saying, is when did you discover that there was an Adults with Down Syndrome clinic, Annette, and then how did you get involved, and how does it help you on a regular basis as a family?
We had a pediatrician early when she was little, and as she started aging, you had to move from pediatrics to adult. And I think I Googled KU Med and found Moya's name, and we had kind of learned about it as she was growing up, about the adult Down syndrome clinic through KU. So as she became an adult, like I said, I Googled and called Moya, and she accepted Lucy. So Kansas City has a really good resource of people and community outreach programs that help people, especially with Down syndrome. I feel like we were really blessed to live in the area we are in. So having Moya be part of our life has been just so awesome, because she understands where our kids are, and she understands where us adults, as parents, what we need, and I love her because she talks to our kids like they're in the room. There are a lot of doctors that have talked to me and not looked at Lucy and spoken to Lucy. So as our kids age, they need to be seen and heard, and Moya is so awesome. So we're so blessed to have her as our doctor.
I'm looking at some of the comments coming in on our Facebook page, and a lot of them are for you, Lucy, so I want to read you some of them.
Okay.
Bonnie Slamberg writes, I could watch her dance and smile for hours. Kim Moore Bosley writes, what a great performance. And then Charlie Glinka says, thank you for brightening my day.
Aww.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I have a question also from some of our community members who emailed in. Denise wrote in, and Denise has another question for Lucy. She says, I would love for my niece to have a job she loves as much as Lucy loves hers. Lucy, how did you find out about the job here?
Well, I remember delivering ice cream to the Golden Scoop when I was still working at the Golden Scoop.
Uh-huh.
And we were bringing 500 scoops of ice cream to start the Golden Scoop serving ice cream here at KU. And we started filling out the coolers. I met up with Jeff Navarre, and I walked up to him and said, I want a job here.
And he said, done and done.
Yes.
So basically you did what everyone teaches us to do as we're growing up, is be assertive and ask for what you want.
Yes.
And you're doing a pretty darn good job because it was hard to wrestle you away from them for an hour to come here. This is awesome. So you just walked up to the guy in charge and said, hire me.
Yeah, I did.
And when Lucy talks about the golden scoop, that's an ice cream you can get here, and there's one named after you.
Yes. There's an ice cream named after me called Lucy's 41. It's a dairy-free vanilla ice cream made in-store at the Golden Scoop.
And why is it called Lucy's 41?
Okay, so when we had our, the first round of people help, she was making my ice cream, and on the 41st try, I tried it, and she got it right. And the birth of Lucy's 41 was born.
There you go. It took 41 tries. Again, you knew what you wanted, and you weren't going to stop at 40. You were going to go straight on until it was right. It was right at 41. Yeah. I have a question for Dr. Peterson from Jamie. Jamie wants to know, how common is it to detect a heart issue with your baby in utero?
With the really sophisticated sonograms we have now, many times they can see what's going on with the baby's heart prior to the birth, so that they are ready to go if the baby needs something after it's born. So a lot of times it can be diagnosed in utero. Sometimes it's not diagnosed till the doc has a chance to listen to them afterwards, and then sometimes it takes a while to show up, but most of the time they know what's coming.
Tom has another question for you, doctor. And you touched on this a little bit. Tom says, now he wants to be clear, is it the same heart problem with each baby, or are there different heart problems?
No, there's different ones. The AV canal that we talked about, where all 4 chambers are connected, is the most common, but they can also have a hole between the upper chambers, which is an atrial septal defect. They can have a hole at the bottom, which is a ventricular septal defect. They can have the connection between the pulmonary artery and the aorta. There's a little connection there that usually closes off when the baby's born. Sometimes my guys stay open, but no, there's all different ones that the baby can have.
Mary has a question for Annette. Mary would like to know, Annette, what would be your best advice for other parents who have children with Down syndrome?
Treat them like any other child you would have. I mean, that's what would be my advice. Treat them like any other child.
David has a specific question. This is very specific. This is for Lucy and Annette. He wants to know where you take your dance lessons, Lucy.
Okay, so I take my dance lessons right now it was at Viva. But we're moving over to Cass KC. And it's hosted by Jesse and all other instructors.
Annette, how did you find Jesse? He was delightful.
Jesse I was introduced to Jesse by our case manager. It was a young man who came in our home, and most people who have children with Down syndrome have case managers to help you navigate through life. And Lucy was saying, I want to be on Dancing with the Stars, and I went, oh yeah, right. And he goes, hey mom, let her dream. He goes, actually, I know somebody who has a background in dance. He goes, I'll text him and see if he'll give Lucy a couple lessons, and we'll see where it goes. And that was 7 years ago. So Jesse said yes.
A star was born.
Yes.
I heard from your mom, and I think you were telling me when we met, you're always practicing at home too and watching videos, right?
Yeah, because I do Dancing with the Stars workout DVDs, and I dance on my Switch and on my Wii. So I'm dancing almost every day.
You must have a very strong core and strong
I do.
Legs to be basically dancing like 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
Which brings me to Dr. Peterson to bring this full circle. Does Lucy have any restrictions because of what she was born with as a baby, or is she just good to go and work out and dance as much as she wants?
You know, generally, Annette, do you still follow up with cardiology every year?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we stay in contact with the cardiologist. There's a couple here that specialize in adults with congenital heart diseases, and so we make sure they follow up. But I think Lucy does what she wants, and I don't think there's any restrictions there.
That's awesome. Shanna wants to know, Dr. Peterson, how many of your patients that are in your clinic were born with heart defects? Like, what percentage do you think?
You know, it's probably right along the average. On average, about 50% of kids. There's one in every 700 births have Down syndrome.
And then we have a specific question from Tom, and this is an interesting one. If heart issues are common in people with Down syndrome, how do you get a heart check if you've never had one and there's someone watching this who has Down syndrome or someone in their life with Down syndrome that hasn't gotten that check?
We can always do the test. It's non-invasive, and you can do an echocardiogram and make sure that there's nothing going on. But generally we hear a murmur or some such thing if they have a heart defect. And so if nobody over the years have heard a murmur, but if something comes up, we can certainly do the test.
And we have a QR code to show people who are watching right now. You can just hold your phone up to it and scan it, and this will give you, this will connect you to the Adults with Down Syndrome clinic and various resources that can get you there, which is such a phenomenal clinic. You see hundreds of patients, and you are helping so many families.
Yeah, I think the fact people need to realize is we're one of about 12 to 15 clinics in the country that specializes in adults with Down syndrome. So it's not like, you can go to the town next to you or your town and find this kind of care. So we're very proud of that.
I want to bring in some final thoughts from our guests. And Lucy, I want to start with you.
Okay.
It's just such a delight to meet you and see how passionate you are about things. What do you want Dr. Peterson and the rest of the health system to know? Because you're so happy here. This is your happy place.
It is really my happy place. What would I say? Everything is like awesome. I had the best doctors. Because of Dr. Moya, I had the best doctors. What? I have a bad sound in my ear.
Oh, it's probably, that happens. We get gremlins in our earpieces. You're experiencing what every reporter experiences, which is feedback in your IFB, this little earpiece. You're doing great. Feel free to take that out if you want to take it out of your ear. You had said your first impression of Dr. Moya was that she was funny.
Yeah, she was really funny because she reminds me of my old doctor that I had, was Dr. Waters.
When you were a little kid.
When I was a kid, yeah. I aged out around 19 because I was right at the end of my teens.
And that's when you come to the health system for your adult care.
Yes.
That's why you're in the Adults with Down Syndrome clinic.
Yes.
I want to go to Annette. It must feel pretty incredible to be sitting here, knowing what it felt like with so many unknowns 25 years ago. What's it like now to be sitting here and seeing how everything has turned out?
Pretty amazing. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen in your life 25 years. But 25 years later, she's an amazing young lady, and she does know what she wants, and she knows how to get it.
And she asks for it. Before we get to Dr. Peterson, Kim has another question that just came in. I want to get to this. How do you prepare moving forward when your child has Down syndrome to make sure that they lead a happy, successful life like Lucy? I mean, is there a magic formula, or what did Annette do that set this up for success? Or is it a lot of credit goes to Lucy because she's such a gung-ho kind of woman who goes for it?
Yeah, I think a lot of credit goes to her mom and dad. They raised her to be independent. They didn't look at her as a kiddo with a disability that had to be cared for. They raised her so she would be a fine young lady. They have looked for resources in the community and availed themselves of those resources. And I think they've just done a fine job. I think a lot of it is what Annette said, is just treating her like every other kiddo and raising her to be independent.
Well done. I want to bring this full circle, though. We talk about resources, and I want to make sure we get the information out to viewers who are watching Dr. Peterson, to others who might not have tapped into the support system that we have here. How can they get involved, and what resources are available right now that they can go to?
Right now, I think, Annette, you can chime in on this. I think one of the big resources for us is the Down Syndrome Innovations. They have lots of programs and resources. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say call us at the clinic, and we can tap you into all sorts of medical specialists that we have here at KU, and we'll get you hooked up with that. And so I think those are the two big ones.
And I do have a number that we can also give you, the Healthcare Resource Center. You can call 913-588-1227. Thank you so much for sharing this information. And we're not done yet, because Dr. Peterson brought a prop to show us. So many of our patients develop amazing personal bonds with their care teams, which is why we bring you this next segment called Behind the Mask. It's where we give you a peek at what our healthcare workers love to do on a personal level. And boy, oh boy, Dr. Peterson, you have so many layers. You're a cyclist, a loving mom, a doting grandma, and you are a musician. You brought your musical instrument. It's called the auto harp. I had never heard of an auto harp before. How did you start playing it, and how did you find out about it?
I go to the Bluegrass Festival down in Winfield they have in September, and I heard some folks playing it, and I just thought it was a wonderful instrument, and so I played.
And so you went and bought one?
Yeah.
Brand new or used?
Yeah,
Like
no,
I wouldn't even
brand
know where to go for an auto harp. Are they at any?
When you are of a certain age, your elementary school teacher played one of these for music class.
Will you play for us while I ask you some questions, or do you need to look? Can you do it all at once?
Let me play a quick little song that I've been practicing.
Oh, okay.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? And how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
I can't tell you how many times my mom and dad sing that around the house. It's crazy.
Well, we all know Bob Dylan. If we're of a certain age, did you know who Bob Dylan was before?
Well, that's because my parents sing it around the kitchen.
That was so good.
Some of us know Peter, Paul, and Mary too, and they made it.
Okay, so backstory. I asked Dr. Peterson if she would play a few bars, and she was like, "Oh no, I'm not very good." And I was like, "Well, can you bring it and show it to us?" And I might show it to you. I had no idea you had a whole thing, like a performance. This was incredible. We got front row seats to the concert. This is great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sure.
As I'm thanking you all for being here, we got to show the pictures of your grandbabies and your kids, just because.
Yes.
I mean, we have to, but thank you for playing the music for us.
Yeah, this is actually at Winfield, and this is my baby granddaughter, and we got matching tie-dye hats.
Oh, nice. I love it. And then who's that?
These are my kids. I have a boy and a girl, and yeah, I'm very proud of them. They both live in the area, and they're doing very well.
I'm sure they're very proud of you.
Yeah, they're very proud. These are my grandsons.
They look like musicians, like they're going to be musicians.
Well, one of them's starting, so we'll see how that goes.
Or the Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Lucy, for coming down. I know you're super busy with your job and your dancing and everything, so thank you for making time. Dr. Peterson, thank you. Annette, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to all our viewers for watching and joining the conversation today. This has been really fun.